It probably won't match your needs, but it doesn't matter because you can cancel anyway. Hi, my name's Bertie, and today I want to talk about selling based on cancellation. And this is a common sales mistake that's made quite often. I've experienced this myself, and when I explain this, this is probably something either maybe you've done during selling, you might even be doing it now, or it's certainly something that you've probably had done to you at some point. So what I mean by this is most places sort of will have a cancellation policy, and that's great. It shows confidence in your product or service, so there's nothing wrong with that. But what I'm talking about is bringing in that cancellation policy as part of your sales pitch and also almost making it the main feature. So let me give you a good example. I recently went to look around a new gym. The gym was great. I had a few questions, things like what time the classes, what time it opens, the price, can I bring my kids in, and what's the parking like? Now, some of those things could be answered there and then, but the other questions that couldn't be answered, what then happened was the pitch very quickly turned from being informative and trying to match the product to my needs to, well, actually, it probably won't match your needs, but it doesn't matter because you can cancel anyway. So then the cancellation policy was then brought up maybe 5 times in the next 5 minutes on how it's okay for me to join anyway, even if it doesn't fit my needs, because I can then cancel. If I'd have been in a situation where I had have felt really pressured at that point, then I probably would have signed and cancelled the next day. Artificially inflates the numbers. It has no long-term benefit for that salesperson or the company. So in that instance, bringing in the cancellation policy wasn't the correct thing to do at that point. What would have been a far better thing to do was to reinforce the strength of the product, answer any questions that I've got, make sure the product did fit my needs, and then try and close. It generally just shows lack of confidence or lack of knowledge in the product. And sometimes I think we just naturally think by bringing in that cancellation policy, it's actually going to make the customer sign, and it just might. But those sales won't stick. If the product isn't right for the customer, they shouldn't be buying it anyway. It really is that simple. There are 3 points that I would generally bring up the cancellation policy in any sale. And the first one is simple: if the customer asks. If the customer asks about the cancellation policy, then of course tell them about it. The second one is in your recap. So after you've made the sale and you have a cancellation policy, in some places are regulated and you have to say this sort of stuff, but even if not, it's a good place to say it. They're committed, they're going to buy. And of course, then when you're just recapping all the details, confirming the details of the sale, then of course mention the cancellation policy. And the only other time I would mention it as part of the pitch is if you've answered all of the customer's questions and they are confident that they're going to buy, and then just maybe there's one thing, possibly they just want to discuss it with their wife or husband, maybe there's other sort of things that they need to check, but you're 99% certain in your head that those things are actually going to be fine. We all know, we can see when people are excited about a product, they can see themselves using it, they're asking the right sort of questions, etc. In that case, then you can just reassure the customer that, look, it's okay, you clearly love what I'm selling here, let's sign you up today, and if you do need to cancel, then we have this policy, and make sure it's all fair for the customer. And I think in those situations, it's absolutely fine to bring in the cancellation policy, but don't use it to overcome an objection, which with just a little bit of time and effort, you could overcome in other ways. My name's Bertie. Thanks for watching. If you've got any questions or comments, just whack them in the comments below, and I'll see you on some more videos very soon.